Okay, when someone says you're a founder, I want you to have a sense of what that means. Would everyone here, before I start, who has been a board member of Self-Help or CRL or a staff member, an advisor, a partner, a donor, please stand up or wave your hands wildly. Okay, this is what it takes to actually build a movement. So I'm glad to be here as a vessel to tell you a little bit of stories. In the spring of 2013, I had the great honor of receiving, on behalf of the Center for Responsible Lending and Self-Help, the National Hubert Humphrey Award from the Leadership Conference for Civil and Human Rights. My introducer was Julian Bond. And being on the same stage with Julian, with Wade Henderson, who is one of the greatest statespeople of our time, was truly a privilege of a lifetime. But here's the story. As I literally was coming up to the stage, this one is smart because you can't really climb right up the stage. You have to go around in a circle. But as I was coming to the stage, a bank executive of one of the largest banks in America came up to me and literally grabbed my sleeve and wouldn't let me continue to get up on the stage. And he looked at me and he says, "Martin, if you'll not say our name, we agree to get rid of the loan that you and Julian Bond have been protesting so much." Now, this loan was a 300% payday lending in disguise product by a bank. So I gently removed his hand from my sleeve and I said, "We fully agree." And I walked up on stage because Julian and I had already decided we weren't going to talk about that bank anyway, so it was pretty easy to do. But what happened there was Julian used his moral clout to hold other institutions accountable, and he was able to export that to me and my staff at the Center for Responsible Lending to let us sort of be a pain in the neck for some of the bad lenders. Julian made it clear as president of the NAACP that he thought that 400 and 300% interest rate loans were a moral travesty. It was a moral issue for him. It wasn't a financial issue. He was a moral leader who created people to follow him and to provide leadership that changed people's hearts. At the end of his life, Julian thought of himself as a student intellectual. He even still looked like, I look at all these pictures, he still looks like a student even in his 70s. But his fierce commitment to principle, tempered with public humility and being a true gentleman, it may have fooled himself, but no one else. He had become a lion of civil rights in this country and a hero of freedom and economic justice for all people, regardless of race and gender, sexual orientation, immigration status, or any of the other things that people can make up to divide one human being from another. He simply hated discrimination in all forms, no matter how it was clothed or masked or hidden. Julian grew up connected to the campus of Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, where his father was the president for 12 years. Julian was age 5 through 17 during the time that his father was president. Lincoln University was the first HBCU in the country to offer college degrees. So it wasn't exactly surprising when Julian went off to college at Morehouse in Atlanta. And the next story for me is when I was in my early 20s, just a few years ago, mind you, I had a long afternoon meeting with Dr. Benjamin Mays in Atlanta. Some of you won't know him, but Benjamin Mays had been the president of Morehouse when Julian was co-founding SNCC as a college student at Morehouse. Dr. Mays, when I met with him, was the chair of the Atlanta School Board. He had been a mentor to Martin Luther King, to Maynard Jackson, and yes, to Julian Bond during his years at Morehouse and after. Dr. Mays told me, as I'm sure he told many others, that education truly is the path to freedom and advancement for all people. But his main point to me on that afternoon was that one cannot change the educational opportunities and the outcomes from within the education system alone. One has to work also on the outside of the system, with communities, with for-profit and nonprofit institutions, with public debate, and in the arenas of resource policy and influence. Nobody knew more about education than he did, and he said it basically takes organizing and building support to really change things. Julian lived the promise in Frederick Douglass's great admonition that, quote, "It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." This is why research and education, preserving HBCUs, and fighting for K through 12 and higher education are so important. Because it is here that we build children into strong men and women, leaders for their communities and leaders for their world. Julian knew that it was our duty and our privilege to fight for freedom and justice for all people. He knew that kindness and reason, while important, are not enough. Yes, we should love our enemies, but sometimes you just gotta stop them first. I've curbed my language a little bit here. Yes, we gotta stop them. I consider myself a very lucky person. I've had death threats from the KKK. I've had death threats from drug dealers in neighborhoods where we were working to rebuild. And I've had large companies and leading legislators promise that they would destroy me personally. But I had incredible friends, an amazing family, the privilege of working with ordinary heroes who were just trying to make their families stronger against the odds to survive and make a better life for their children. And I had heroes to follow, like Julian Bond. What I would say in closing is truth will always require integrity and struggle, and justice will always, always, always require a fight. Having the privilege to dedicate the Research Institute in the name of Julian Bond is an amazing thing, but it also requires all of us to be accountable, to live up to the legacy that Julian himself lived up to. The awards we're going to bestow tonight, the Community Impact and Lifetime Achievement, are a tribute to these heroes who have the stamina to seek truth and embrace facts and data, who have the courage to speak when the truth is unpopular, who spend their lives creating ownership and opportunity for all people. You'll soon hear why we are so inspired by these award recipients tonight, that carry forward Julian Bond's spark of truth and his undimmable light for justice. So let me, in my last moment, we've had professional preachers up here. My only really preaching point is we're in an unusual, not normal period of time right now. Maybe it's not the worst we've ever seen, but it might be the prelude to the worst we've ever seen. It might. And so I would say to you that wherever your feet are resting, let them stand and take a stand today and going forward. And wherever your voice can be heard, lift it up and fight for and resist injustice wherever we see it. I thank you for coming here tonight for this celebration, and literally with all the sincerity in my heart, I thank you for the work that you do and the partnership you've done with us. We are truly grateful, and it's because of the people that we serve and that all of us serve that make us do what we do. Thank you for being here, and thank you for what you do. Thanks.